Hi, Morgan with Event Answer here, and today I'm going to show you how I made these two different tropical leaf arrangements. This is great for a little party if you're going for a tropical theme. You can change up the colors and leaves as you need, but this will give you the basics on how I made these two arrangements. To make these two arrangements, you're going to need vases. For the tall one, I'm using a 9-inch cylindrical vase, and for the short one, I've got about a 5-inch cube vase. Now you can go square or round, it's personal preference there. You'll also need some foam circles or squares to put into the vases, and that's what we're going to be putting our silks into to hold them in place for our short one. For the tall arrangement, I actually use chenille stems to secure it and then place it down in the vase. So I'll show you both methods for this arrangement. The key tool that we'll need today are wire cutters. So inside our silks, the stem is made up of wire, and I find these are the best way to deal with that. You can use a pair of scissors, but you do risk ruining your scissors. Another helpful tool is glue dots. So if you need to hold a leaf in just the right place, glue dots is a great way to do that. Now on to the silks that I'm using today. I have two different kinds of leaves. I have one that's a palm frond-like leaf. The other one is more of a solid leaf, and I'll be using those both. I got one bush of each of these, and that made all of these arrangements, and we'll make one or two more. I also got one bush of these white orchids with pink accents, and then I got one large bush of this white accent flower that kind of drapes in its nature. I also picked up these large flat leaves. They're not in the arrangement, but they make a great accent laying on top of the table, or like I have here under my cake. So I'm going to start with the large arrangement, and I'm going to build this inside my hand and then tie it off using the chenille stems and then put it down into the vase. But before we do any of that, I want to hide the mechanics of my arrangement inside the vase. And because it's clear, I'm going to be putting some leaves down in the vase to hide the stems of my flowers. So I'm going to start with my tall fronds. And the whole point when you're using silks is to make it voluminous and full. It's easy to kind of have them all flat and laying on top of each other. What you want is to create air and texture with these silks, and they come flat, so you've got to bend the life into them. So I'm going to have one that's facing up straight, but I'm going to curl the end a tiny bit to give it some life. And I'm going to bend this one off to the side and bend this one off to the back. You just want to make sure you have a nice firm hold on the stems here in your hand. So this can be a one-sided display, or it can be seen from all sides. Just keep that in mind as you're designing. If it's going to be seen from all sides, make sure you've got flowers and focal points on the back side as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep adding these leaves all the way around and curling them over. Next, I'm going to add these little white accent flowers. And I want one kind of down here in the front. And I want these to lay on top of the leaves. I love having the wider leaf kind of as a backdrop for these flowers. And if it's not laying quite how you want, definitely give it a bend. If you don't like a leaf, pop it off. So I think we're ready for that orchid. Now this is really stiff and straight. We want to give it a little bit of a natural look a little bit, so twist it and curve it. Definitely take a moment to look at photos of real flowers, and that'll give you an idea, how should this look normally. Okay, so now that we have it how we like it, I'm going to take one of my chenille stems and I'm going to put it right on top of my hand here. And the key to this is keeping it really tight. If it's loose, your flowers may sag or drop further down into the vase, which we don't want. I've just twisted that off really tightly there. I'm just going to point it down, and we're ready to put this in the vase. So just make sure you've got lots of volume, you've got lots of texture, your leaves don't look too stiff. When they come flat, definitely give them a little bit more life. Alright, for the second arrangement, we're going to be using the smaller 5-inch vase. And to start with, I'm going to take one of these large leaves and put it down into the vase again. But first, I want to take my foam ball and push them in together, because I found that it's such a tight fit that when I push it in after the leaf, it rumples the leaf. So I'm actually going to wrap the ball in the leaf and then stick them in together down into the vase. And you want this to be a tight fit because this is what's going to be holding the flowers in place. and we want that to be nice and snug. And just make sure the leaf is covering all of the foam ball so you can't see it on the outside. And then we're ready to start putting flowers down into the foam. Because this vase is a lot shorter and we're going to be putting everything down into that foam ball, I have already taken all of my flowers and leaves and cut them down to a short size because this one's not going to be as tall as our first arrangement. I've gone through and cut everything down to about 2 to 3 inch stem, and if it has a larger base on the bottom where that leaf was connected to the bush, I've cut that off so everything has a nice point to it and will go down into the foam really easily. So to start with, I'm going to start with our palm frond again, and I'm going to put it just in the center there and push it down so it's secure, and just make sure you're curling and bending as you go so it looks really natural. I'm going to do one off to the side here. I'm going to bend it down front. I want it to be pretty far over the front of the vase here. I'm going to do one also on the side, but facing more towards the rear. Come up just a tad. Now my ball is moving a tad in the vase, so just be aware of that as you're arranging. And I'm just going to start putting leaves in all the way around until I'm satisfied that you can't see the ball and it looks nice and full. And I want to be thinking about where my focal orchid is going to be. I want it to kind of come up and lay over to this one side, so I need to think about balance and how I want that to look. So now I have my orchid and I want it to face the front and put a little bend in it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into the foam here. Yeah. And that way it comes out, but it's off to the side just a tad. Then I have a few other leaves that were attached to the orchid. And you just want to fill out the vase, and you don't want to see that foam ball at all. And just go until you're satisfied with the diversity of the leaf shape and the look of it. And you almost can't even see the vase underneath all these leaves, so that makes it really nice to camouflage the vase, and you have just an easy, simple tropical centerpiece for a table. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. It was a lot of fun putting together these silk arrangements, and I hope you found it inspirational. Silks are wonderful because you can use them again and again. I'll pull these apart after my event this weekend, put them in an enclosed storage tub, and pull them out again for another event. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up below, and if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in a future video. Bye!